And we're live on the twitch.tv/the Xisuma on a Monday morning. My face is different. What is wrong with this face? Can you tell me? We got bananas in chat from Floyne, Devin Crates, Fortunate Narado, Becca, Curls of Doom, Captain J Prince, and Bear818. Thank you for the bananas in chat. It means that we're live on the twitch.tv/the Xisuma. Already said that. Blackjack says, hi X, you can use advanced power cells to measure RF per tick throughput, but it's capped at 180 RF per tick. Blackjack, you are the man. Thank you for figuring it out. Power cell. I mean, we might even be able to find a little bit of a way. There's also an advanced power cell, and that has 100,000 RF per tick. That has 400,000. Different numbers from what you just described. Well, we'll check both of them out, though. 0 viewers, Twitch Live, says Aerosos. Well, you're here, so there's at least one. And thank you for coming by. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Listening to Jim Kirkwood today and Peeps. Oh, God! Why did these eyes have to be on my face right now? It was going to be the super slick, cool reveal. And now I look like a buffoon. I'm sort of back, I guess. With the wings, with the thing on my head. And the derp eyes. Back to my usual self. The spell of Evil X has been lifted. There's also a hole into the void over here that I forgot about. I might have quite easily have walked into that because I don't have a zoom key. And I was thinking about, like, walk to the wall and you get closer, right? And then... Oh yeah, you can see what an absolute mess. Well, maybe a little bit. I made an absolute mess of this area. So, this is all new. I did this last night. I came in here with the destruction gadget, blitzed the whole thing out, and decorated our void mining area. I think originally I wanted to do something more fanciful down here, but I just decided to, yeah, give it a look. I also set up a void botanic miner, which we might upgrade today, and a secondary resource miner over here to get more things like clay. And this needs to be moved somewhere else. Probably going to get some bats spawning in the meantime, aren't we? The place that we'll put these is just up here, I think. So torch there. That thing here, cover it up. And yes, that is the void mining project now complete, because I want to get more of the base complete. Ah, Blackjack says the number shown in JEI is the stored amount. You need to get an advanced power cell and infuse it. And it's 20 RFK per face and 30 RFK per face. Right, that is some very useful information. Thank you, my dude. I don't know when we'll get around to doing that today, but we do want to do that. I don't like what I'm seeing here. Nothing in... Okay, I think I know what's... Let's have a look. Yeah, so running out of that stuff over here. Now, we ran out earlier, and it was a problem with this locking up, which shouldn't have happened again. Okay, so that hasn't locked up. But we got no sulfur being produced. Okay, I have a sneaky suspicion as to what might be going on. Okay, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at the hats menu. God. Right, no, so we've got tons of that. So why is it not making netherrack and autocrafting at the moment? I do not know. There is no job that is backed up this time. Because I changed the recipe over here after it backed up to send a stack of netherrack. So whenever it asks for one, it'll always get back way more than it needs. And then there's nothing being crafted here. Crafting. Is that active? Device online. So if I take that out. Use stocked items or craft while exporting. Could just set it to do that. Always craft. Did that actually do anything? Judging that 3 of these are now active. It might have given some out. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that needs a crafting upgrade. I don't think it does. Ah, Blackjack says that I might have used up all of my blaze powder. Of course, there are other parts of that recipe. There's only 48 there, and then it's not using that to craft the next bit. So, that's... Okay, this just kicked in. I think you're... No, it didn't. The bars at the bottom sometimes confuse me. I think your theory could be correct because it's low, but like, why is it not using what little is there? Also, where does it come from? Looks like we might need a blaze farm. Okay, then it all just disappeared, and I'm guessing... Yeah, there you go, look, it came over here. Right, so we need a blaze farm. And I think at this point in time, what I might do... I don't think we farm that from anywhere sustainable. That would be a good combination, though, to pulverize it. Oh, we get it from sieving, so we always have a passive amount slowly coming in. Let's go check and see if the sieves have backed up or something. Because I think what I want to do at this point is just use mystical agriculture. But that probably means that I have to do it through this. Oh, there you go. Blaze essence, right? So we might set that farm up and then create a machine that crushes it somewhere in here. That will be another way for the blaze to continue. So, if this thing is backed up, I just want to check because we've had issues over here. Looks like it's absolutely fine. It's the middle of the day, so we'll have power over here. All of these are running. Yeah, so I guess we've outpaced the capacity of that. So, another project for today. X, is 4 gigabytes enough to run the Hermitcraft mods on a server? What are the Hermitcraft mods? Do you mean dynamic render distance? I guess carpet. Is it carpet? No, sorry, not carpet. Fabric is a thing. Anyway, let's get through all the things I want to get through. Because I've been AFK in the world, right? We've got tons of this stuff now, so don't have to worry about that. We got the option to grow other things in the cloche as well. If we head out the back here, remember I showed you the botanical void miner? Well, here is all of the things that it produces, and I think it's worth storing all of this stuff. The only issue is, it's a heck of a lot of items. Now this thing filled up and backed up, and then this chest started to fill up. So I think we're looking at least this many amount of items, which really means even if we divided it into 4, so one item 4 times over, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, no sorry, 12, yeah, 12, 18, 24, maybe 25, 26, 27, 28, something like 28 shelves per each one of those. So where do I want to store that stuff? Because I don't have to store it here. And I don't think I will. Yeah. So that's another question for us. Where are we going to store that stuff? I also did a little something over here. I went through and did all of the plates. I left the plate up here as a reminder, actually. So all of the plates that can be made in the game are now doable through these compactors. And then I also noticed that thermal expansion has this thermal mediator block that apparently can speed up the process of like machines nearby, and I think it just needs heat or something. Just something to investigate at another point in time. Oh no, it uses coolant. Distilled water, regular water, and then it gives you like a 20% boost. Interesting idea. But it might be more complicated. The thermal stuff seems really interesting to me. Okay, we've got some noises in the air. I'm going to get to those in a second. Another thing I did was I turned on the Invar and Electrum machines by adding in higher stack limit, because I noticed that we didn't have a lot of those. It looks like that steadily drains over time. So whatever's giving it power is not distributing enough, interestingly. Slap those on the front for now. just while it does the job of filling up the drawers. So this relies on iron and nickel, silver and gold. So iron's good, silver's good, nickel's good, and so will gold be. Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't use... like, I've started to notice that some of the amount of ingots we have of certain stuff was low, like this. So I realised that we need to up the storage on them. So maybe I'll do that over here as well, where we added in... Yeah, we only got 16 stacks there. Let's get some upgrades. This'll send my system a little bit crazy, though, as it goes and tries to create tons of this stuff. So we can expect to see some shortages, but we'll be on top of it. And then over here, this stuff, it's the same dealio. So now the machines behind me should start whirling as there's more demand for this stuff. Yeah, there you go. This one over here just turned off. That one's still going. So yeah, now we're just going to slowly fill those up. And that's fine because we're not doing anything too technical today. So I'm going to remove... Oh yeah, I also did an experiment. We're using vibrant alloy instead of flint for the netherrack thing that you saw earlier. Not sure if I'll come back to that or not. I also thought the laser core might make a cool decorative block. We've also got that little project. So we're using everything over here to keep track of stuff. I added recipes for all of the petal blocks. They're in there now, so that's another building option for me. They kind of look like coral blocks, I think. And yeah, I'm getting the world ready for a showcase. So one thing I need to do really is tidy up that. And then we need to tidy up this and decorate our machine block area. I think I might abandon this whole look. Strip this back and make it so that we just have the viaduct drop you straight down. Down to this area, I guess. Cool. Might time it so that we can have a wall here as well. So I guess I kind of want to pick this thing up where we left and do some decorating here. Having given it some more thought, I don't really want to stress too much over details here. I just kind of want to get the whole thing done now. Yeah, so let's start building. Let's grab some factory blocks and just get to it, you know. Hopefully it won't give me some out of range hassle down here. Cool. Alright, that's me having a waffle about all that I've been up to. So, let's grab some of these blocks. Grab our chisel. We had a noise in the ear from DHG Ifrit with a gifted sub to Slytro for 30 months there. Thank you so much, Slytro, for sticking around for so long. And DHG, thank you for gifting that sub. Be sure to say thanks in chat for that gifted sub, my dude. Gosh, burping in my mouth. Oh, I have just eaten. Olaf Floss, thank you for 7 months of support, my dude. Greatly appreciated. I keep just sleeping later lately. I don't know what it is. Oh, I didn't check my sleep score. Let's check my sleep score. Keep having really deep sleep lately. Becca says, X, are you okay? I'm fine. I just on that treadmill, you know, just always a little frazzled. I'm like, oh god, we're streaming now, are we? That's happening, is it? What's the sleep score? Not as good last night. 77. Interesting. And my resting heart rate has continued to drop. That's nice to see. It came up when I got a little bit sick, and I always keep an eye on it, and then, it, you know, with a little bit of time, it always comes back down again. Using binaural beat. Well, last night it didn't, actually. Last night I switched to the next generation engine noise sound. That's one of my favourites. I don't know why, I just felt like doing it a little different. Wait, how's that lined up? Okay, so the glass goes over it, I see. Yeah, so I'm thinking this is how we're going to decorate it. Could leave them connected. I think I like it with a sort of separation, though. Ah, it's also occurred to me that lighting is important on these blocks, isn't it? Huh. Forgot about that. Then again, the light doesn't bleed into there, so it's not really a problem. I just have to light it up. You sound frazzled, says Becca. Yeah, probably just like I said, just the treadmill, right? You know, just this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing. Like, I stayed up last night editing a video, which is going to come out today. I got a cup of tea here I've got to remember about. You know, oh, God. Oh, the weight on my shoulders, peeps. I have to remember about cups of tea to stop them going cold. Yeah, it's just been one thing after another. So I stayed up last night editing a video, which is going to come out today. It's on frogs and tadpoles in the beta edition of the game, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed making that. I have switched lately, where I haven't been playing on Hermitcraft as much. I have switched up and taken the videos that I used to see as being sort of intentionally low effort, like the stuff on the second channel covering tweets. I always thought, like, it's just a video about some tweets, like you could go read these tweets yourself. But for some reason, people keep, you know, watching them. And now that I moved them onto the main channel and I've had a little bit more time on my hands, it's like, well, I'll put more time and effort into the editing and how I present it, and I'll give it a little bit more thought and whatnot. And that seems to have worked out really well. And recording a snapshot type video when there's no pressure, there's no like, oh, it just came out, gotta record the video type in your head, you know, like it is pressure I put on myself. It's really, really enjoyable, and yeah, I was just up late night yesterday doing that, and I was doing stuff in the modded world. Isn't building gadget in this pack, says Eternal Papa. It is in this pack, yes. Kel says things usually get really busy before Christmas. Yeah, they do, and you know, I've just got like this thing, that thing, that thing. Like, there's this constant rotation of things in my head at the moment. Like videos I've got to make, workouts I've got to do, other commitments and responsibilities, and it's, yeah, just been a little bit of that really, just constantly. Because like after this it'll be like doing a workout, then making food, then getting on video editing, and you know, then repeat, and then there's some recording I've got to do in the evening. It's just that constant treadmill feeling. Sometimes makes me a little frazzled, I guess. Now's the time for me to relax and hang out, though, right? I really wanted to avoid using these textures because they're just so easy to work with. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, actually, I just need to get stuff done. We haven't used that one yet. That immediately looks like the sort of texture I'd like to use for this next bit. So let's get our replacing gadget out. Exchanging. I keep calling it replacing, don't I? So this corner's got... Oh, I see. It's like that, is it? What's the button I got to press? G? So we could have that in the corner, that kind of look, right? Then bring it over here. I don't think I got the other thing in my inventory. Wrong bag. The wand is what I'm thinking of. Here it is. Yeah, relax and chill, says Neymar. Yeah, I need to relax and chill. Probably not going to be doing that until Christmas Day, at this rate. Or should I say Christmas Eve? The problem with this texture is it's just a bit noisy. I think it would look better if it were darker around here, but we need to stop mobs from spawning. I wonder if there's some sort of like transparent layer that we could put on top of this that would just stop stuff from spawning. Because, yeah, I now that I see that it's going to be quite visible, it kind of looks ugly to me. We could just go with something... You know, I never really look at X-tones much. I actually called it the right thing. That's maybe a sign of me chilling out. Hey, Sliced Lime is here! Becca, thanks for gifting a sub to Sliced Lime, one of the devs of the game. Welcome to the chat, my dude. And thanks for saying thanks in chat. Becca, thank you as always for gifting those subs. Sliced, I don't know if you're familiar that much with modded, but here we are playing it. And I'm trying to pick out, oh god, so many textures, right? When there's so many, it's like choice paralysis. Yeah, we're doing a bit of decorating rather than technical stuff today. What about that Vena block? Now, I thought I put all the recipes in here. And then it was like, nope. But yeah, we got those. Now, I only want to go with the first texture because changing them is a pain. So maybe if we went with something really plain. Ooh. That is, like, plain and cloudy. I like that. It's going to make this area feel voidy. Although I do feel like a little bit of texture on the sides is maybe warranted. Oh, spoiled for choice. Silver Fox has Mega Torch in the pack. It is, but we're at a mob farm where the Mega Torch helps to control it. We only put 2 of those things, one in that corner, one in that one there. I think these emit light too, don't they? Might it be fortuitous of me? Oh, look at me. Oh, I know fancy words. To put this... Dang it, it got picked up by the system. Torchmaster mods? No, I don't see it in there. So what I'll do is just make another one. Probably going to need to make another 2, actually. So yeah, let's go put this down underneath in the void. Which is always a terrifying place to go. Now that means that hole emits a little light. Then we'll grab this one. Or not, because it'll probably... Hey look! Hey look, it's in my hotbar. Oh dear, oh dear. Or did I make 2 a second ago? I probably made 2. Dark, clear glass we now need. So that goes there and repairs that. Beautiful. Aha, I'm guessing this is the chisel mod in this pack, says Slice Slime. Some of these textures are from chisel. And some of them are, well, most of everything here, this is from Z-Tones. Yeah, you see, these textures are kind of great, but like, I've used them so much in the past, it always just feels like a little too easy to use them. I'll tell you what, I was going to use the other texture I pulled out on the floor, but why don't we try it over here and see how we feel about it. Could probably live with that a bit more. Yeah, that's way more livable. So we'll have that in the corner. I think we're going to use that Z-Tones one at the top of the room. X-Tones. God, why? I try my best, I swear. And then I want something different on the floor back here, which I think I'm going to go with this. Right, I'm going to have that. And I'm still going to use one other texture, and it's going to be that one. Okay, I've just decided that's what we're going to do. We need to crack on here. So, there is one more thing I want to figure out. Night vision? Yeah, I want to see how many blocks away this thing will be when I move it. Because I want to move it. Haggy and Twitch, thank you for subscribing, my dude. Greatly appreciated. Hope you're entertained, enjoying the stream, and all that good stuff. I'm actually not going to move it because I want to put these blocks here, and then the viaduct will come up and forward, and then I wanted to surround the viaduct with glowstone, I think. So, I'm using the wrong tool. It is sometimes quicker to actually fish it out of your backpack. See? Definitely quicker. Yeah, so I'm going to remove all of the blocks around this as well, which I've just realised, if I'd used the destruction gadget, it'd have been super quick. Oh, maybe I still can use the destruction gadget. Sometimes when you use this thing, it doesn't destroy different types of block. But I'm never quite sure. So we'll do a depth of 1. Let's say we go up by 2, left, right a 1, and down is 0. I think that means when I aim here, I've got a 3 by 3. And look at that, it didn't take out the viaduct. So if I want to have glowstone surrounding this thing, now I can. So when you go through the viaduct, it's the idea would be... Ooh, I'm not flying anymore. It would be semi-interesting. Yeah, so if the viaduct stays there, it doesn't really leave me with a lot of space at all, actually. I could even enclose this thing so you come in here and you're looking directly at it. I always like the idea of standing back and looking at it. But let's say we just roll with this Huh, that means I wouldn't need these blocks for anything. I put it that close. Dang. It's not your fault. X-Tones is a continuation of an old mod called Z-Tones, says Cuplex. Oh, right, really? There you go, I can blame it on that. That viaduct placement is kind of going against what I originally had in mind for this place, but I think let's just build it and see what happens. Right, I still actually will use this texture, okay? Let me show you my idea. So, we don't want to have torches down here. What we'll do is have something like this. The problem we're going to encounter is that this is going to be an even width. It's going to be a chunks width plus 1. I don't know if you can cleverly put in some separation blocks. We'll find out. Yeah, I probably don't need that anymore. Excuse me. Gosh. Oh dear, that's all that sushi. That's that second breakfast sushi. I had 2 breakfasts today. Just woke up and felt like I just want to eat. Want to eat immediately. If that's lined up correctly, then it's not, is it? It's... So we've got 1, 2, and then you would need a gap of 2 here, I think. And then that would become the other texture, which I do not have. Factory blocks, we need you. There it is. And it is wireframe, yes, that's the one. So 5 blocks of that on either side. And let's grab our wand. Or not. Let's build it up. Sushi, yum, but for breakfast, never heard of that, says Captain J. Prince. It's just the first meal of the day, isn't it? That's all it is. Breakfast is, you know, breakfast as cereal or milk's a bit of an industry myth, you know? You know, breakfast is just the first meal you eat in a day. Maybe not having them right at the bottom is a nice idea as well, because they're going to be lights, can you believe it? And we'll use the ones from Ender.io, which are inverted, yes. And then we punch out the torches. Now, it makes this area very bright and luminous, like, directly. Oh, it really does feel like you need some depth there. Maybe I'll just finagle that. Maybe I should just finagle the thing. The viaduct. And just do what feels right. I'm going to try and go with my gut a bit more here, then. So we take this thing out. What my gut tells me to do is to keep it tight in the corner and then have this thing... I am lacking in blocks that I need for building. Let's craft another... Yeah, a bunch of those. I crafted thousands of those yesterday building that void area. Becca, thank you for gifting a sub to Ben MHO2. Appreciate it. Ben, be sure to say thanks. And we're being raided by the Puka. Puka, thank you so much for the raid, my dude. Thank you for all you do, of course. The animations for the next video are wonderful. I got to throw them in my my editing just before I started this stream. Again, we were talking about being a bit frantic. It's like, you know, I had to do a little bit of editing just before I started this, just to make sure all's good and ready there. So thank you, my dude. And I actually tuned in. I saw you were doing something with the Ender Dragon. But I had no idea what I just got to watch for like a minute. I couldn't suss out what was going on. But thank you, my dude. Welcome all the raiders. Welcome to all the raiders. We're in the Stoneblock world. And we're building out a platform. Now this will mean that I need those torches lower, sorry, those light fixtures lower down, because they're going to be closer to the well, no, they're not going to be closer to the floor, they're going to be further away. Is that the last of that? Oh. They're going to be further away from where they're trying to light up now, so I can't put them higher up, is what I'm saying. We've also got Devin Crates here, gifting a sub to Kajiro MC. Thank you for gifting that sub, Devin. Very much appreciate it, Kajiro. Be sure to say thanks in the chat. Kajiro says he was building a new animation rig for it. For the Ender Dragon. By animation rig, I am going to assume you're saying, like, if ever you want to work with the Ender Dragon, you've done this, like, pre-preparation for it. Let's press F7. Nope. Not working today. Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. Uh-oh. Oh, what? Ah, there we go. So it seems like a bunch of buttons there are able to do something today. Yeah, it's very hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So like, here's the deal. It only just lights up at the very front. So it probably makes more sense then to put it here. Which kind of looks super cool. Now there's only 2 of these that we can put in because there's no middle. Put it over, well, 3 blocks over there. Okay, so this might just work with 2 of them on either side. It does leave a little bit to be desired, really, doesn't it? It's like a puzzle. So I guess maybe we actually go for 4 then. So you can have the one there and the one here. One, 2, 3, and then we'll have one here. And then it will be there. There you go, right, now the whole thing's lit. So we build that on each and every side. It'll be cool. And I think now that I've got that texture in the floor, I think I'm just going to have this stuff go up the entire walls. So let's take out all our factory blocks. Give it back some of this stuff that we're not actually using. And let's go build out the walls next. Replacing gadget, gonna need some destruction gadget. And depth 1 for that. Oh, that's nice and easy. Ew. Ah, whatever. Right, back to night vision and exchanging time. And then we've got the ceiling coming up, actually, haven't we? I'm getting used to the crackles, says Becca. Do we have crackling again? Honestly, I just don't even know where to start to diagnose that. Like, I have no idea why it creates a crackling sound. Yeah, just wouldn't even know where to begin to look. Because, I don't know, like there's... I mean, there are cables, like, I mean, I'm going to just touch the cables at the back, right? Like, cables are usually a form of crackling, but... if you just heard, like, a whole bunch of crackling, or something got worse, then maybe it's related to those cables, but I really doubt it. Okay, yeah, so we're going to go 1 higher. And then we've got the ceiling to deal with. I see how it is. Oh yeah, you know, we got it, we placed it. No crackling, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it would. These cables are not the sort that are configured like that to be sensitive and have issues. So, yeah, not entirely sure. Right, so that's the back of the room. We do this. Beautiful atmosphere in here. Just got to do the ceiling. The ceiling is going to be Vena. and it needs the replacing gadget. So I'll go ahead and do that. And let's get it all the way. Should we get it all the way over? I think we should. So that was Venner, wasn't it? I'll throw you back a few of those. So if I grab this thing, G, go for the real large size here. Yeah, that reaches all the way across, you see. And what I'll do is essentially like try and do a lap, so we can make sure all of it's covered. At least like up where the glass is the idea. Right, that's putting a lot of cobblestone in my inventory, isn't it? Among other things. Cool. Crazy Player 364 is here for 2 months saying hello in chat. Hello Crazy Player, welcome to the stream. Thank you for your Prime subscription. Appreciate that, my dude. Appreciate it. Becca says perhaps it isn't connected properly. Well, here's the thing, like, it's only this modded Minecraft that seems to do it, right? So, like, I have no idea what causes that, but I just wouldn't even know where to begin on diagnosing it. And it's also, it's hard to recreate. I mean, I could start there, maybe. I could start by trying to be able to recreate it and hear it myself and then tweak settings and stuff, but I kind of know it's just going to be a real big headache. Right, so we've got most of that done around there, and that is definitely looking good. Let's fill in at least this corner here. Cool, and then we'll try and get more of these in. Looks like we've got a lot of these in the inventory too. Okay, that's actually the last bit. Sweet. Oh yeah, the F7's kind of helpful at the moment, I guess. Right, we've got something that's a little bit sensitive over here. So bring that to this spot, and then we've got to... Yeah, look at that. It's not... The whole thing's going to have to moved over by 1 block, which I'm sure is going to cause no problems whatsoever, right? Never does. It never does. Okay, so let's start with the torch. Put that there. And then the cobble. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it doesn't help when your inventory's pretty full as well. Then we can move some things out of here. Okay, so that thing has got the receiving edge this side. That's very good. And that goes there. Right, we have to move this back, and it is extract and insert. Pretty easy to remember. Here's where things get a little bit more complicated. Or maybe not. Redstone pulse is all that it has attached to it. So, redstone pulse. That was the extract one. This one was the insert. This one's more complicated, right? Place block, right click, upper left, redstone off. Place block, right click, upper left, redstone off. Place block, right click, upper left. Redstone on, off. That was it. Cool. So now we're going to move that thing 1 block behind me. Set the conduit to insert, and it should be good. That should be it. Okay. I'm happy with that. means we can build our wall in front of it, basically. It's distorting, I think, so maybe it's those particular sounds that are peaking in the mod packs, says Slice Slime. Let's have a look. I mean, this is a thing that sort of didn't happen, then did happen, without me changing much as far as I'm aware. Right, I'll put my mixer up. I mean, the sound is so low on my mixer that it surely can't be peaking. Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it. I've got so many jobs to do over the next month. I'll add it to the list if I remember, and then if I get time, I'll investigate. But otherwise, I'm not gonna worry about it. Like, there's nothing obvious that comes to mind that be like, oh, I could start here or check that thing. It's just like, it is a very peculiar problem to have. There is actually, now I think about it, there is one thing that I had to change. I had to make like a virtual sound card or sound source or something for the Streamlabs alerts, but that was quite some time ago. However, it would check out that that happened before we had these issues, but I don't see how it would interact. Anyway, right, so now we've got to make like this 5x5 of these on each side. The crackling is now a feature of the series. Don't worry about it. Have some tea if there's still any left. Oh, I finished the tea already. I could do with some water though. Now I feel very thirsty now that you mentioned it. Let's drink some water. This room that you're creating has that old FPS game vibe. Yeah, I guess these textures do look a little bit like Duke Nukem Doom kind of thing, don't they? Do you want to leave that spawning space behind the wall, says Hagian Twitch? I guess I don't, right? That's a good point. I don't want any other spawning space, because when the torch is off, things will spawn here. And now they won't. Cool, those ones will be done by the replacing thing, I guess. Then you got this here. Then you got that. And bring these all the way over. So who here is a fan of the show Malcolm in the Middle? I watched an episode of it earlier today when I was doing my yoga. The one where they go bowling and you see like the two different perspectives of like mum or dad taking them bowling. That show is absolutely terrific. I watched it when I was just a kid, and it was like the thing that was on TV on Sky, like when it was running. And then like years later, me and all my mates started watching it again and just like saying how great it was. And then I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it in a long time, but I've seen probably all the episodes at least 2 or 3 times, and a lot of them are really great. Some of them are a bit run-of-the-mill, but that bowling episode is terrific. Never watched it, but heard it a lot, says the Moobles. It's worth it. I think it's a show that's probably a bit time-locked. You'll appreciate it more if you're from that era, because like quite a few premises of, well, not premises, but like details, I guess, of the episode revolve around things that have changed, like or little jokes or remarks or things that you'll see, like for example, they're in the car and they don't know like the directions. Is it left here? Is it right there? And it's like everyone would just be using a GPS today, you know. And you see a lot of that. You see a lot of like technology things where it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. It's to be expected maybe with watching older shows. And I think because of that, like some of the traits and the commentary and the jokes and what it's about gets a little lost in time. But But being, like I said, of that era, having watched it at the time, for me it's like just a really great show. I used to watch a bit of it when I was younger, but I was mostly hooked on the Disney Channel on Sky TV. It's actually now on Disney Plus, that's why I watched it. I got Disney Plus to watch... Oh, look, I made a mistake here. I got Disney Plus to watch The Last Duel, which was alright. And then I noticed that Malcolm in the Middle and Simpsons was on it, and I thought I should watch some, like, some of the better episodes of those. Like, not watch them again, but just, you know, enjoy some of those classic episodes. Oh, dang it, this means the back's wrong. On both... No, wait, is it? Ah, gosh. Well, at least we're playing modded and we got all these tools to make everything really... Oh, those bits are okay, really nippy. Except that. But then... See you later. My inventory's getting pretty full at this point, pretty full. Let's go ahead and put this in here. Home Alone if mobiles would exist, says Surprise T. Yeah, you know, ring you on the mobile. You left me. I'm still at the house. Alright, come back and get you. End of movie. That shouldn't have connected. What happened over here? What happened over here? That shouldn't have connected either. It was all disconnected. Can someone translate into international English what nippy means, says Curls of Doom. It means you're cold. It's a bit nippy out there. It's just a British thing, I think. A pointless British thing. I say pointless. It's to express that it is cold. Where is my chisel? Well, I guess I'll have a new... Or not. Where is it, actually? I put it in here. My chisel's gone. Huh. No, there it is. God, how did I manage to not see that? Right, there's 100. There's 100 comments. Oh, it's in your hotbar. It's in your hotbar, X. We're paying more attention to the game than you. Yeah. We use that in the USA too, says Delverac. Yeah. Maybe it's not a British thing. You know, what are the origins of all these words, right? It's easy to assume. But in a world with so many variables and possibilities, you could quite easily be wrong. Right, do we have that destruction gadget? We do. I think this was set up just to do one deep, yep. And then that would allow me to use this, yep. It is nice to do a little bit of just straightforward, easy, don't think about it too much building. Even though I'm making mistakes. Oh, so nippy can mean fast and cold. Yeah, it means that as well. I don't hear it being used as fast as often. But yeah, sometimes it's used as like an adjective? Adjective for being fast? I think I'm using that word correctly. An adjective. X, when did you last use a landline dog and bone? I've never heard the term dog and bone for phone before. That's Cockney rhyming slam, isn't it? Now that I think about it. I haven't heard that one before. I use the landline on occasion. I use my own landline still on occasion. I tend to use it for like business calls or whatever. I don't know why, because I don't have to, but I just tend to. Okay, let's now finish the ceiling a little bit. But yeah, I do use the landline on occasion, and if I ring my parents, I might end up ringing the landline, or grandparents. In fact, my grandparents, they just turn the mobile off until they want to use it, so you can't really get them on the mobile. There we go. Don't be shy. Come on. Come on now. Right, so then all of this has got to come out, I guess. Destruction gadget for that, actually. And yeah, replacing gadget because it needs this thing around the outside. Ye old rusty block. Joe, we've had this chat before, but I kept thinking about it over and over again when I was watching The Last Duel, right? Imagine yourself sent back in time to like the 1300s, and you're gonna end up with like the ear of a king or something, and you're from the future, but you ain't got your mobile phone, you ain't got anything really. Maybe you got your clothes on you, and they think that you look like a strange foreigner or something. But I was thinking, like, imagine trying to explain technology to them and how they could improve society, right? And like, what would happen if you tried to do that? And I always think that there's several like pitfalls that you come up against. One of them is that like there's a lot of technology where it's like, oh yeah, you know, you just use a sink or a toilet, and like, oh, make sure you got soap. That way germs won't be killing everyone. But then it's like, but then tell them how to make soap, right? And also, like, you'd have to tell them things that would probably go against some of the built-in institutions of their society, like the church, you know. You'd have to tell them, oh, no, you're wrong about that thing with... No, they're not demons, they're just germs, you know? Like... Imagine trying to explain that. Yeah, radical thoughts, bro, says Equinox. Exactly. You would be a complete radical to them. Like, it would just be like, this is insane what you're talking about. And it would be very hard to demonstrate this stuff as well. Especially some of the things that, like, you could tell them that would improve their lives immediately, like using soap and whatnot, but then it would take time to demonstrate. And I just reckon that you could be armed with like all this amazing knowledge about how good things could be, yet you'd probably be more likely to get burned at the stake, you know, being a rationalist or whatever. Any technology that is too advanced will appear like magic to them, says Keevan's Tech. Yeah, that's the other thing. You'd have to explain how it's not magic, how it's not like wizardry and you're evil or whatever. It's like, no, this is like... We understand how this stuff works. But then, when you're explaining, like, even advanced concepts like a telephone call, or perhaps even a telegram, like, each bit of information, you have to wind it back to their level of technology, and it just gets really, like, confusing to think. Like, if you were to try and explain, like, a telegram, you're like, you know, we run these cables under the ocean from one continent to another. It's like, okay, then you got to explain ships, how you can make ships out of metal that don't sink. How is it that you can make such massive quantities of metal? Like, you'd have to explain supply chains, production at scale, and like explain how bigger like there is of a workforce and how much more infrastructure there is, and then you'd have to like explain all the steps, and you would just sound like an absolute nutter. Like, I reckon I'd get hanged at the stake. I'll give it my best shot if I went back in time. I'd be like, right, we'll try and make the internet eventually. We'll try and make it. There isn't a country over the ocean, says Keevan Tex. I think 1300s in England, they would have known about other country. I mean, they kept getting invaded, right, by... Well, I say invaded, actually, okay, because I'm just kind of, like, taking things that I've seen in dramas and thinking of it through that lens. Like, England wasn't successfully invaded a lot, if I recall correctly, since 1066? Before then, I'm not so sure, but, like, Vikings and stuff like that. So we know that there are other, like, we would have known that there are, you know, places over the ocean, right? So you could explain that you could communicate over the ocean using these cables and stuff, but It's just, it seems simple, like you'd accept it, but then explaining it to someone who's just never seen any of the marvels of modern day and all the technology, it would just be so difficult to explain. And then, like, a lot of this technology to us is just stuff that we use, right? So then, how do you, like, you understand how a phone works, but you can't make all the components of it. So, like, what's the most useful thing that you could share with them? I keep thinking it would probably be hygiene, right? I reckon... See, I don't actually know what soap is made of or how to make soap. I just know that it is soap. And I know that you can use it to clean. If they had soap back then, I don't know, but like if you could get soap, then you could explain. I think hygiene would be a great place to start. Like, teach them to not use to clean your hands after you go to the toilet, to keep your toilet waste separate from your water supply, and like things like that, I think would probably be the best place to start. Democracy, says JC Vasm. Yeah, so imagine going back to a king and being like, yeah, what we're going to do is basically not make you the ruler and let the common people rule the land. And then they're going to be like, what? Like, you couldn't, they'd have your head off. You couldn't just, like, explain democracy to them as if you're going to, like, implement it. Maybe you could explain the concept. Like, I like that king in the Vikings show who's really interested in hearing alternate ideas outside of, like, the air quotes norm. So the light that's down below is not doing a lot for this area here, is it? There is light coming out of that block. Oh, that didn't get that corner. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll just put one on each corner, right? No, that doesn't actually affect that. I thought the light would sort of, you know, air quotes, bend around. Let's just put one in the corner over here. Put one in each corner for that. And then we need one over here. Very good. How Xisuma versus govern? Well, how I would govern? You could go back and stop capitalism, says Becca. I don't think stopping capitalism is a good idea. I think capitalism is a necessary step in society's evolution. I just think it needs to evolve, and I don't think that's what's happening. It feels to me like it was potentially evolving at one point, and maybe like that kind of ended in the 80s, but I think like it isn't the end result. I think this is like the system of governance, or whatever, however you want to word it, like it has to keep evolving. Because it would be just really weird to go back to when you had monarchies and be like, right, now we're going to have a socialist democracy or something. And then people would be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, it moves with the times, right? So capitalism has its time, it has its purpose. And then, you know, each system, like, advances but then shows its problems. And capitalism has shown its problems with its inability to, like, manage wealth equality. Like, consolidation of power is a very big problem. And also the inability to deal with things like climate change as, you know, profit motives kind of fuel putting your head in the sand on an issue like that asks you to radically change how you work and operate. So some form of evolution needs to come along at some point, and it feels like, you know, because it's power holds on to itself. Power doesn't give itself up to the next thing, and that's what's needed. But yeah, I don't think you go back to like the 1300s and tell them all about democracy. Like, the king would be like, right, you want the ordinary people to vote? Off with your head. Who's going to challenge the king? Who's going to challenge the king? We've just been raided, by the way. League of Fixel. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome all the raiders. Excuse me. Welcome all the raiders to the stream. We're talking about if you went back in time and tried to explain modern things today, like how difficult it would be, because like it's really hard to explain concepts. Like, you know, you could explain a mobile phone, it takes pictures. But then you got to be like, well, what is a picture? And then how do you explain how it works? And all of a sudden you realize that there's so much stuff we take for granted in our day-to-day that is far beyond our full understanding. We understand things in like a dumbed-down, simpler form, which is a really great thing. It's a great tool to be able to understand complex things like a mobile phone. Like, imagine actually understanding how all the hardware and software in your phone worked. Like, that's a lot of knowledge right there. Like, it's a great thing that we can understand concepts when they're, like, simplified down. But then, trying to tell a different society in a different, like, age of technology and governance how to do these things, it's like... Because they can't happen overnight. That's the other thing. You can't go, you know, back 100 years and show them how to make a mobile phone. You require all that time of, like, development of infrastructure and supply chain and access to resources and whatnot. It's not like you just give them a schematic for the mobile phone and they figure out how to make it in the 1950s, right? Computers in the 1950s were the size of rooms. Like a calculator. Like your calculator app would have been the size of a room. Surprise T says, before the Industrial Revolution, your full-time job was cultivating yours or someone else's land. Not much room for capitalism. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Very good point. And that's why it comes with the time, right? Like it's an evolution. It's the natural next step. I say natural. Maybe things could have emerged and evolved differently, but it's like the next step along is that system. And then it reaches its limitations and its usefulness at some point. Which, you know, because of technology, things still march on that front, but I feel like it's time to go. It was probably, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago. In my opinion, which is not a, I don't know, that's just based on stuff I've heard, right? Not saying I'm an informed opinionist. Opinionist, is that even a thing? Just made it up, didn't I? Right, now that we've done these floors, let's convert that to... Yes, please. That one as well. Guess those can, and so can them. Because that's pretty much everything. Right. And after this, we'll get to do some technical stuff today. I've put off doing this for a long time, haven't I? Feels good to do it now. We need something like Stoneblock IRL. You start with near nothing and can make everything you need by yourself. Like, I'm not sure what you're saying there. Like, as a... Like, if you did that IRL, right, if you were trying to do everything... Actually, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Like, are we talking about a game, or... Yeah, there's something funky going on here. I look at it like... If you were to try and actually make a mobile phone yourself, the amount of, like, lifetimes it would take to do all the work for that is just insane. I don't know what the rules are in terms of, like... If you use all your lifetimes as manpower, because some stuff relies on multiple people being around at the same time, right? It's all evidence of cooperative society that we exist in. Right, let's do that. I would just go back in time with tons of science books and drop them off to the best known scientists at the time, and they'd eventually figure it out as going metal. I would disagree with that. I disagree with two things there. The first thing is that the premise of my idea is that you can't take anything back with you. If you could, it would definitely be easier to convince people, and something like books would aid you massively in explaining stuff, right? Because you could literally, you know, take... If you took a resource like Wikipedia, although a lot of stuff on there is sort of simplified, there's a lot of technical information there that would be useful. If you had actual, like, technical books as well, you could bring a lot of value and, like, practical know-how. But the other thing is that if you learn about the history of scientists and mathematicians and how certain ideas get thought over in those communities, there's like a lot of resistance to being wrong, unfortunately. It's a very human thing. And what's that block called again? It's called Vena. And at several different points in time in history, and I've learned these things through watching channels like, what's it called? Numberphile. They'll talk about like some mathematicians from way back when which used to send letters to each other and debate over who's wrong and right, and sometimes the correct ideas sat as being wrong for a long time just because other people held on to their ideas and denied it. Let's get rid of those things in the middle. That looks great. We just got to create an entrance for it, and I think I'd like the entrance to go in line with this over here. So I am going to have to be a little bit careful here. I think if I set everything to 1, I'm creating a 3x3. And what I should probably do is not put my little U-turn too far off, as we're going to need a U-turn. Right, and there is the original viaduct. So with that, we can kind of create a new tunnel, I believe. Right, let's vein mine it from the top. So yeah, if you went back in time with like a bunch of information about you're wrong, this is how it is, because bear in mind that science is a process, and that much of historical knowledge, facts, things that were thought to be 100% true are later falsified, often because they start off as being simpler concepts of something that then reveals more complexity with time, right? So if you went back, you would be disproving a lot of agreed upon theories with like, nope, you're wrong because of this, because of that, because it's advanced so much. And I think you would find like immense pushback against that. People thought weather forecasting was nonsense for ages, says Devin Crates. I haven't heard that anecdote before, but it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me. I was going to rip out all these blocks, but I think for now I just want to... I like that texture. I think for now what I'm going to do is just place this thing in where it needs to be and not worry about what's left behind too much. So, we could use voidstone around the viaduct, but I want something that emits light. I wanted a tool out of my backpack. Oh, it's there. That's why I can't find it. So this is going to be glowstone. And I really wish I had silk touch. This has got silk touch on it. There you go. My wish just came true. Is that one going to be? How are we going to do this? The viaduct could literally be in front of the panel. It's kind of not how I actually pictured it. Yeah, maybe I'll have the viaduct there then. Maybe I won't. I'm not entirely... Where did the rest of that go? Because I vein mined a bunch of it, right? That's very peculiar. Definitely... Where did that all go? Huh. Did it somehow end up in there? Or did I put it in there? I do not recall putting it in there. I kind of like the idea of this thing feeling and looking like a door. Use the faster viaducts. The ones that I have not the fastest then. I actually really like that feeling like a doorway to somewhere. So I think what I will do... let's do that. Maybe I'll put some of these back. Yeah, and then the viaduct is here. Right, so let's type in via the old duck. So we have viaduct, there is long range linking, and viaduct untreated. I think we've got the best one. Watch The Aeronauts. It's a biographical movie about a guy and a woman sending up weather balloons to study weather patterns. It has Eddie Redmayne in it. Always, if you want to recommend something, just tweet it at me. When I check my Twitter feed, I'll take a moment to then just make a note or check it out or something, right? That's the way we do it. Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to design where all the glowstone goes first. Okay, I keep having that problem when I dig directly downwards. It's kind of annoying. X, could you remember to eat at some point, please? Bear! Thank you! We got all the way down to 2 hunger haunches today. God. And someone finally reminded me. Then it will go that way, down and out. So I just need a metric butt ton. Okay, that's a certified measurement system right there. Ye old metric butt ton. Butt ton? Ye old metric butt ton? Buckload. What did I... Dang it, I can't even remember what I originally said now. I could chisel these, by the way. I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave them as regular glowstone. This feels good, though. This is a project that really needed wrapping up a while ago, feels like. So then they got to come down like that. You do not need to be there. Now we get to use the wand a little bit. Oh yeah, I guess I don't need that anymore. Metric butt ton, that's the one. How much is that in Imperial, says Surprise T. Get your metric butt ton calculator out and do the math. Modern technology relies on the economy of scale too much. You alone won't advance past the Middle Ages. You need factories full of people for it, and we've done nothing to change it. Imagine all the tech that allows you to create a phone from yourself from scratch in 6 minutes. Yeah, I imagine, Surprise T, that tech where you create something yourself will involve not stuff that you can build out of your environment, but the sort of technology where, like Star Trek-like technology, where you've got like some pure energy input and then like a material thing. What would you call it? You know, it just materializes. Oh, this is going to get tricky, this bit. Like the replicator or whatever. But then you'd need a capable energy source to put into it as well. Okay, so this goes there and then comes down. But yeah, I do, you know, because the priority or a lot of stuff is structured through making money and markets and whatnot, it's harder to value in something like dependability. It would be nicer to know that some of the way things are set up are kind of also set up for worst case scenario, like if the lights go out, what's going to happen type thing, right? But unfortunately, I don't know, it seems like a lot of it's not. Then again, you can be very pessimistic and look at the way things are set up and be like, oh, you know, it's got this problem, it's got that problem, but we're still here, right? And it's the wheels keep turning so far. I mean, they'll turn until they won't, but like they have kept turning this far. It does, you know, I think the good thing is both optimism and pessimism. It's like Alright, we can keep moving forward and not act like it's all going to blow up tomorrow, but like, we should also prepare for the inevitability that things can go south. Alright, looks like I still got some viaducts, and not a lot really. Not a lot, but probably just enough to make this work. Seems like we'll have just enough to make this work. Imagine if the replicator would be invented, the powers that will make it sure it doesn't get into the hands of normal people. The powers that be. I don't know, like, the powers that be once thought, you know, everyone having the ability to share information with each other freely was absolutely terrifying, and now we've got it. Everything looks like that. The thing that's interesting about a replicator is if you can make it make another replicator. Right, and then like the thing that powers it, if it can replicate that thing that you need for that power source, then it's kind of like a weird self-sustaining thing until it breaks. So then you better wish you made multiple of those to then tell it how to fix itself. Okay, where's my chisel at, homie? There it is. So I'm going to have that bit there. I guess it could shoot us out like all the way down here, couldn't it? Right, glowstone. So it's just that bit there. I kind of want it to be like the one above. And if I do, I guess what I need to do is actually move this up one. So if I make that too tall... Right, it's not the prettiest of transitions, is it? But if I put that block there, I think that's what I want to go with. Then I need a wrench, don't I? Oh, how am I going to get back up there? I never opened this thing to begin with. How did this thing get so full? Look, at some point I just put completely the wrong stuff in here. Oh, that's where that stuff went. Oh, I must have opened it up to put some things away and accidentally put them in there. Well, there you go. Right, everything else is capable of going into here, though. Except the cooked apple. Hey, FXoons is here for 4 months. Thank you, my dude. I appreciate your support. I hope you're enjoying the stream, having a good time, and thank you for those 4 months. So he gives us a hard time because we don't remind him to eat. Then Bear reminds him and he doesn't, and he still doesn't eat. Oh, Carls, you're such a poorly timed message. Such an unfortunate, tragically timed message there as I finish eating my cooked apples. Look, I don't need to eat immediately, right? Like I acknowledged that we needed to eat. And that was it. That was all that needed to be done. Right, now I need to bust out of here. And I kind of don't want to mess up the place while I do it. I think if I go up here, that'll do. That'll do very nicely. Keyban says give it give it a name. I should have given it a name, but I haven't. I would like to jump through here, please. I guess I need some more void stone at the back there, right? So, I'm probably just naming this one, right? So, we'll just call it base, right? That works. This is base. So we'll go to... I thought it stopped for a second then. Definitely feels slower. Okay, that kind of worked. Call this mob farm. Yep, there we go. Right, so now whenever I want to come down here and see it in action, this area is decorated. That took 1 hour and 20 minutes, my friends. If I wasn't streaming, I reckon it would have been a little bit quicker. Because I was building yesterday, and when you're not streaming, you just notice all the mistakes a lot easier. Right, there we go. So actually we're not done because we've got to do the back of that, but that should be relatively easy. We do have some void stone, and I think I'm just going to give it a little wrap. Little wrap around, you know. Kind of feel like the glowstone should be 1 block higher. Not that it's terribly important. Here it is, here it is. Just like that, really. Front still looks the same. That's pretty darn cool, if you ask me. Pretty darn cool. So, away goes those. In go the tools. And we get to relax for a minute and decide what's next. I did want to tidy up the entire base for a bit of a tour, which reminds me, this could do with some work, and I'm not really sure what to put in these back walls, but maybe it's a case of just putting some placeholder blocks for now, right? Borgil says, loving this void stone. It's a cool texture. If you had like a really good purpose for it, you can make some wonderful stuff with it, I reckon. Right, let's drink some water. By the way, we're approaching 500 viewers on a Monday morning. Thank you everyone for coming by and checking out the stream. Thomas Sturps says, how's the base going? Just this room here to tidy up, and then we kind of reach a bit of a... Oh, actually no, there's one other place as well that needs tidying up, but we're very much reaching a point where a lot of loose ends have been wrapped up, which is really cool. Now, one of the things we could look at actually is what's below me. I think these machines are still trucking away and filling up these over here. So the stack limit is now 512, and we've only made 2 extra stacks of blocks. It's actually quite a bit for the blocks. So I don't really know the fate of the rest of this, but if we just give it a facade, that would work quite nicely, I think. One thing I will do, I had this idea to use these, but I'm just going to get rid of them for now. I do not want to vein mine them, because I do not know if it will rip out everything or not. Might be a good idea to use this. Cool, right, so now I need a texture to wrap around the whole thing. Are we going to start working on the quest book a bit more soon, says Thomas Derps? Yeah, maybe we could. I kind of want to get myself up into the area up top, when all this stuff down here is wrapped up, and then all new projects we start doing up there. Hannah Puglover, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream here we're doing today. I think I'm just going to go for some good old lab blocks. Yeah, thank you for that subscription. Those are a bit soft. I'm definitely going to... Don't I have a recipe in for the lab block, surely? Doesn't look like I do. Gonna need our chisel. Chisel whizzle. And then pick a texture. That's a little too like the ceiling. They're a bit too flat. I think I'm just gonna go with that and mirror what's on the other side. I think it's that one. Yeah, the fuzziness is a good thing, I reckon. It didn't actually chisel all. There we go, let's try that again. Could have done that a while ago, really. That's a bit of a no-brainer. Once you put it in there, it's like, yeah, that helps. Might want to end up recessing those as well. Gotta love this music, so dramatic. Right, and I think I want those. I don't think they're animated. I think they would have appeared animated if that had been so. So that's not bad, is it? Kind of matches what's going on the other side a bit, and then oh, it's so nice to see instead of just all of this stone back here, even if the room is unfinished. I think what I might like to do is maybe put more alloy smelters in here and get some of this stuff a little more automated. For those things over there. Like a bit more purposeful, maybe. One for each machine kind of thing. Can you still become a tier 1, 2, 3 person when Xisuma's streaming or nah? I mean, like, when you subscribe at a tier, that usually takes place when I'm streaming. I think you can also do it when I'm not streaming. Hey, those facades might be on here. The refined storage ones are. Oh, there they are. So if I do that, I can get myself a bunch of facades here. Actually, I just want the one for now. Or maybe two. I kind of want to put it and not break all of those off, right? But I guess I'm just going to have to put them back. Here's the dealio there. I think I might change that a little bit as well. Let's get some more cable. Now that we have the opportunity to. They can go across like that. And then put them all side by side. Then I want to put a different texture behind this. Sort of one of these textures. I think I might, you know, there's been a lot of the same colours so far. So if we were to go with a different colour, I think it would be that one. Let's ask for 100 more of those. Thank you very much. Might take a second for some of those to come through. Do I got my wand? Wand. There's a very quick way to tidy up a room, isn't it? Right. With a little bit of focus, there's two things done now. I think those panels should have been higher up. Yeah, one level higher. Oh, there it is, I see. And then one of these is a pattern terminal, right? Yep. Cool. Cool. If you use a wrench, you can remove a single piece from the A cable bundle, says Blackjack. I need to remember that at some point. Let's get rid of this. We don't want this lying around. Yeah, I need to remember that and make it part of my vocabulary for building and stuff. There you go. So, little project over here in the corner is tidied up nicely. We made use of a viaduct. I'm not seeing any blemishes around here. It's all neat and tidy, right? The only, like, unfinished area now on this level would just be over here to the left. Let's go grab a measuring tape. I think we can do this relatively quickly. So, we'll start with, like, the glowstone and destruction gadget and just do that. Oh, do you know what I didn't do? I didn't hold down click. That's the way it works. Then when I come back here, it tells me it's 33. That is our magic number. 15, so if I use the destruction gadget down to the end, we should get what we need. Cool, let's grab more of that. We're going to need our chisel again. What else are we going to need here? Don't need these things right now. Just the distraction gadget. Distraction gadget? Go. Is that what it is? Right, my friends, I've been stood for quite a bit of time. I'm going to sit down for the next part of this stream. Let's just make sure we select the correct one, which is that one. Talking about the time travel. And he had strongest deja vu the other day while being with my family. A whole conversation played out the exact same way I strongly felt I had already experienced before. Maybe deja vus are memories of when we actually time traveled, says Curls of Doom. I've experienced deja vu. It's weird, but here's the thing. We all know about the shortcomings of the mind and experience. We can look at images that fool our eyes into thinking that two equal lengths are a different length, or two same colours are a different colour. We also know that memory is rather fuzzy and unreliable, and every time we remember something, the brain essentially reconstructs the memory. We can collectively misremember by a incorrect suggestion being assumed, and then between people that are now thinking it was this way, it can sort of solidify the idea that it once was. I literally experienced this incredibly recently when we were discussing a meal that I cooked for everyone, and my cousin was saying it was not a fish curry because I don't eat fish curry. There's no way I would have eaten it. And I was convinced. And it was because my mum had said, make that fish curry again. And I didn't question the fish curry bit. That I then also just went, yeah, it was a fish curry. Like I didn't question it. And it turned out when I went back and looked at the recipe for it, oh yeah, it indeed wasn't. I think it was 16 blocks, I need to add. It indeed turned out to not be a fish curry, it was a chicken curry, right? Things like that can occur. So I would consider Deja Vu to be a pretty, like, uninquisitive way to invest. Like, I consider it a pretty uninteresting thing in some ways, right? Like, when you put it up against all the flaws of perception and how the mind work, I don't think there's a lot of value to be found in what a deja vu is. I think it's more likely just to be maybe like it could just be a misfiring of neurons that set off a, it could be like almost like a conflict where one part of your brain says, I know what this bit is, and the other one says, I don't, and it gives you this distinct feeling of what's actually new coming your way being interpreted as both new and not at the same time. It could be something like that. I'm just making stuff up, right? But like the point would be is that it centers around the human experience, which is notoriously unreliable. Carls of Doom says, I was discussing cookies I made for my family. Why do deja vus revolve around food? Because food is incredibly common, right? It's like when you hear a story about someone who won the lottery twice. You think it's so uncommon that then the story spreads. And so if you hear about that story twice from two different people, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I heard this story about that person and then this person, but it's like, well, the fact that they were so remarkable, those events. Ooh. We didn't break anything. We did not break anything. All of this is, oh, this is our squid farm. So yeah, like think of like something that has incredibly low odds of happening, getting struck by lightning a couple of times. Well, the problem now, excuse me, is that if it does happen, that story gets told a lot. So if you hear the story of like, oh yeah, that happened to my friend, and oh, and also that person over there it happened to. Isn't that weird, Well, no, the story propagates better because it's so unlikely. But it might actually be quite likely for it to happen multiple times. There's also other biases, like when you are exposed to a particular type of information or a new story that, like, your mind is more astute to it. So, like, I never heard the word cul-de-sac for ages, and then I worked with a bunch of people that kept using the word cul-de-sac, and then I felt like I heard it everywhere. Then all of a sudden they're on TV, and it's football, and it's like, oh, he's got himself into a cul-de-sac there, because the player, like, ran into a dead end, basically. And I was just like, it felt so weird to keep hearing this word over and over again. But it's just that, like, the use of the word had, like, really sunk in, and then it just made it easier to notice it everywhere, right? These kind of perceptions and, like, distortions of the mind are, like, why things like deja vu and ghosts and experiences, any kind of experience, like, if I had a profound experience, I'd also consider that to be brain chemistry, right? Like, everyone's probably gone through something in their life that's made them feel like, oh, that was a bit otherworldly, or that was something from above. But like in my mind, it's whatever it was you felt. It's still like, you know, brain chemistry on some level. So like, is your brain capable of producing an experience that makes you feel like something otherworldly has just happened? Probably is. I love paranormal activity. Ghosts just don't scare me anymore, says Captain J Prince. I've been deeply fascinated by ghosts and UFOs at many different points in time. Less so these days, just because ever since I stumbled onto this idea of like your own ignorance, like your ignorance as a human, the ignorance of experience, and that book that I read about the two different processes of the mind when it comes to thinking, like thinking fast and thinking slow, and how they can be tricked. It kind of like spoiled a lot of that ghosts and UFO stuff for me, because it was always like entertainment, but now it just feels so like irrational. Deja vu, not always misremembering. I live in the UK. I went on holiday to France to a place I've never been to before. Went for a walk with a girlfriend, and at the top of the hill described to her exactly what was coming up along a twisty, windy path I'd never observed or seen before. I was correct. Freaked us both out right down to a rusty old van I described. I've had this happen many times, says Sky Shadow. Alright, fair enough. That sounds very plausible, but it wouldn't therefore convince me of anything. Like, I'm not convinced that deja vu, like, how can you quantify it scientifically and then reproduce that and say, here is what deja vu now is? It's an anecdotal story, and one of the problems with stories is that they come from memories, and we tend to embellish our memories, especially when we tell them over and over again. Now, I'm not trying to be dismissive of your story there. It's certainly interesting. There could potentially be rational explanations for how it is you can describe these things. It also could be pot luck. You know, like I talked about a moment ago about like perceptions of things happening to people being really unlikely. Well, you know, have you ever like said something's going to be this way or that way and then it turned out not to be, right? That doesn't become a story. That doesn't become a distinct memory. It doesn't become like this thing that you tell. You know, you don't go, deja vu's, right? Like, you know, I remember them. I have deja vu's. I can describe things I haven't seen that we're about to see. 30% of the time, you know, like you will discard the times you get it wrong. I'm not trying to make this personal. It's just like something to think about. And you got to be careful of telling yourself a story that you get it right all the time, because you might then come up with excuses for yourself when you don't get it right or whatever. Like I just, if there's not something like very clear and scientific, like here is how you reproduce this and prove what deja vu is, then to me it's kind of like a null point. Like, until you can do it scientifically, it doesn't really mean much. So then I deter to all these potential alternative explanations that say, you know, and to me it's more likely to be a case of like, maybe you did do that, right? But your story will prevail in light of all the other people who did the same thing and failed, essentially. I do not recall my deja vu experiences then having me explain what I was going to see next. And the deja vus that I've had are actually so long ago now that they honestly, like, they almost feel like they might be dreams and not actually things that happen sometimes. So I wouldn't consider my own story very reliable, but the one that I remember was being on a trip, a scouting trip, and like walking through a field and then just having like this just bizarre sensation of this has happened before, I've been here before, right? But again, what if that's like the brain just tripping up? Like it's a short... Okay, hang on, I keep going back and forth. I think what I need to do is break that block, yeah. And then it lines up. This music really adds to the talk, says TheXC. Personally, I feel like some more ethereal ambient music would be good for this chat. And your pokey out tongue face makes me think that you're joking about. But the thing with taste is, maybe for some people it does it. Thomas Derp says, what's going on in the corner of this room? Is it just more machines or A2? It's space for more machines, but I think I'm going to space out whatever I put in here, because this big area has made me feel like these could have been lots of little rooms in a different project. Like, where we started building up top, I'm now thinking, if we had that approach to what we're doing up top throughout the base, all of these things would become really interesting rather than just being parts of, like, the layout. So I kind of don't have a strong desire to do too much more with what you're seeing right now, if that makes sense. Because now I feel like we're at a point where we're going to make our builds way more interesting. And so these kind of like generic rooms for chucking stuff in are going to have less of a role in seeing out the base. So this will have like the little staircase, or maybe I could just leave it without one. I don't know what's going to go at the end here. I might reconfigure that squid farm, you know. I can think of a way to make that squid farm potentially produce ink sacs on demand. Maybe we should wait until we're in a bit more of a spot to get technical rather than trying to suss it out now. All but two, eh? All but two. Here's what I'll... No, those are not the right texture. Trodden bricks, there you are. We got those factory tiles. Chisel those in. What about vivid dreams when waking up and you're like stuck in dream state mode? I get it a lot more, and it takes me hours to knock out the dream state into reality. Sometimes it's scary, says Captain J Prince. I've struggled. Like, I guess some have been a struggle, but I've experienced a lot of like dream intensity in my time, where it really does feel a little overwhelming to wake up out of a dream. Not so much more these days, but again, like, if you look at the language in which you just described it to me, we're talking about like dreaming, processes of the mind. Like, are we trying to attach a value to something we don't fully understand? That's the kind of question that I asked there. So, like, dreams have a strong emotional power, but emotion is emotion truth? You know, I feel like you're in the act of dreaming and you wake up from it, and maybe that process isn't as accurate or as well defined as it could be, and so your experiencing self has a, you know, a very odd emotional attachment to whatever it was you're dreaming, and thus you get this kind of attachment to that weird waking state where you're still half in the dream and half not, right? I once had a dream, and I don't think that I dreamt being alive for thousands and thousands of years. I think the emotional idea of that got sort of tangled up in the dream. And when I woke up, I literally once had this feeling. I was a teenager at the time. I had this feeling like I had just been alive for thousands of years in a different life. And it really, like, took me quite a while to wake up out of it and just, like, reorientate myself back to reality and be like, oh no, this is me, this is where I live. Oh yeah, all of that. No, wait, all of that? And then, like, God, I felt like I could remember a million things, a million different lifetimes. And I think it's more a case of the idea got into the dream, and then it became very emotionally strong, and then when I woke up, it was that strong emotion was still there, and so all these weird wishy-washy images of things that I had experienced through supposedly many different ages, you know, it's like the brain can warp those feelings and those experiences. And yeah, I had this day where I just woke up and, like, I had to go to school and see my mates, and I was just kept sitting there thinking, like, I feel like I've lived 1,000 years or more, and then all of a sudden I'm here again. It was very, very strange, but again, like, I don't think it means that something happened, right? That I was whisked away to another reality. I just think this is the way the brain can function, the concept of living for a very long time can get in there, and then, you know, in the unsober state of dreams, that can kind of go in all sorts of different directions, right? And it's all very enjoyable as well. Like, it's quite kind of amazing, you know. You know, when you go to sleep, you might wake up with some weird, fantastical story in the morning, but that doesn't make any of it true, and maybe not even meaningful. It's just a processy of the mind, and it might not, you know, it might not really have any deeper meaning other than your brain doing some sort of jumbling of memories to help you remember stuff correctly. Did it come out a block? You had the row there. Yeah, then it comes out one further block. Sounds like you were dreaming of being Doctor Who, says Scorch. No, not Doctor Who. It was more of a, like... It was more like a Lord of the Rings type thing. I seem, like, of what I can remember now, it felt very Middle-earthy. Like, remembering living through a bunch of different ages. This would have been around the time when Lord of the Rings was sort of fresh on the mind and popular in culture and whatnot, so it's kind of probably no surprise that a Lord of the Rings style feeling made its way into my consciousness of existing for multiple, you know, ages. Maybe I was like an elf or something, right? And like I was immortal. Some of my dreams come true. Does that happen to you? Says my name is Hey Demps. No, my dreams are always very all over the place. Like they tie up like emotions and random things together. You know, the old, oh, I was at so-and-so's, but it was actually a little bit like this, and oh, so-and-so was there, but they sort of weren't. They were actually someone else, you know. Like, I have a lot of those, like, mixed wires, which lead to, like, really interesting stuff. Some dreams that I talked about on here that I had maybe, like, last year, the summer of last year, I think it was. I did have this one, I had, like, a couple of dreams where it felt like someone was writing them, because they had these like moments in that felt like they could be in a movie. And one of them that I remembered really well was like looking out of my looking out the window of my office where I'm sitting right now. It's like the other side from the bedroom. And now that I think about it, I also had a dream where I kept waking up, right? And I kept reality checking and like turning on the light bulb. Okay, I'm actually awake now. Let's walk round to the other room. Oh, look at that. Everything's crazy. Oh, I'm not awake. Oh, I'm waking up again. Turning on the lights on and off. And I think the very last thing that happened was I was reality checking by pulling the light on and off. And there was like this huge delay. And then I woke up again. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually awake now. And then I was like, or am I? Like, I keep waking up. And then I had to like sit and breathe and then just be like, yeah, no, this is actually reality right here. Like, got out of bed, walked around a bit. And I was like, okay, yeah, I've actually woken up. That happened around a similar time, so I had this weird like dream of just waking up over and over again, which was a little on the unpleasant side. It was certainly got the heart rate up. And around that time I had a couple of dreams that had like these really potent lines in them, as if like for a movie. And one of those was looking out my back window, seeing someone like rummaging around in a high-vis vest, and then I got suspicious. When I went downstairs, the downstairs was like the size of an airport lounge. You know, again, those weird distortions. Like, when I say it was in my room, the room was sort of different. The view out back was all like rearranged, but it was sort of the same place. It's always weird how that stuff happens, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about, because it's very common to dream in this way, as I understand it. Yeah, so then what happened was this person came into the house and they're like, oh, I'm a police officer. And I was immediately suspicious, and I kind of got on the phone to the police while they were sort of chasing me around the room, and then they kind of stopped chasing me. And I got through and I was explaining the situation, and when I say chasing me around the room was like the size of an airport lounge, so I had like loads of space to maneuver. They sort of gave up as I got on the phone to the police, and they were just standing there looking at me. And what came over the phone, because I had it on speakerphone as I was talking, is it was something like, Agent Y, Agent X, you have the order to execute. And then I look at the phone in terror and I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill me, like they're in on it. And yeah, and then I like tried to ring my dad for help and kept running around. I don't really remember what happened after that, but that line absolutely stuck in my head because it felt like something out of a movie where I'm, you know, trying to get help from the police on the phone, and then all of a sudden, like, they're actually communicating to the people there that are trying to capture me. Just, like, how does your brain, like, put it into a little moment like that? It was so sort of perfect. It was very odd. Very, very odd. Did you know some people don't have a voice in their head, says my name is Hayden Demps. I do, yep, I'm aware of that phenomena. I am a voice in my head person. Maybe not when I'm like this. This is more like the voice in my head is now just talking to you. That's a good point, actually. When I'm streaming, like, the external voice and the internal voice goes quiet, let's say, and becomes a bit more of a stream of consciousness. But, yeah, I think through voice, so I don't go and do something because I need to, or like it's an impulse or whatever. It's more like my brain suggests you should take care of that, and it's like, oh yeah, I should. That's how my brain works. Not everyone's the same though. Sometimes I have dreams that should probably be nightmares, but I'm kind of like, they're like, yeah, cool move, bro. I have dreams that are like on the scary scale, and I'm aware they're on the scary scale, and I seem to do this thing where in the dream I try and up the ante and make it more scary, which sometimes backfires. We got a noise in the air. We got I am the one who 75 for 4 months. If you're there, my dude, I'm so sorry. I've been waffling for 20 minutes and I missed that one. We also got Curls of Doom gifting a sub to Rota Moan. So Rota Moan, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to say thanks in chat. And Curls of Doom, thanks for supporting our community with a gifted sub there. Everstew says, I have a recurring dream about Queen Elizabeth using scorpions as a face mask. Dear Lord! Dear Lord. Now you're going to tell me you've been watching the Queen as well as documentaries on scorpions, right? And I'll be like, ah, I see what's happening there. I see what's happening there. It's the old... Yeah, stop watching the scorpions and the Queen. That'll solve your problems. The Queen, the Crown. The Crown, that's the one that I mean, isn't it? I think it's the one that I mean. If it's not, well... Jeez, what do I mean? Whoa, that's a lot. And it is actually, at the same time, not enough. Cool, let's go and fill this bit up here, I guess. As it makes sense to do such a thing. Queen, we will rock you. Yeah, I was thinking the Crown, right? Which, in its first 2 seasons, focuses on the Queen. I'm assuming that it changes later because I know that Gillian Anderson played Margaret Thatcher and people praised her for that, and then I know there's like one with Queen Diana, so I'm guessing like it jumps through the ages. The first 2 seasons are, it would appear, focused on, you know, the Queen at the beginning of her reign, and then the following seasons, I'm going to guess, shift to different eras in time. And what was interesting is the episodes I'm watching at the moment have this character called Lord Altrincham in, and I keep checking, like, there's the episode with the Fog of London, and then I go and, like, look it up, because I'm like, did this actually happen? And it's very interesting to see how much of it is tied to actual historical events, which kind of seems like a lot of it, like most of it pretty much, but then there's all these scenes where they're talking in private where you're like, well, how much of this is like a script, or I don't know where they get the information from, right? But how do I do this one? Alt, that's the one. Yeah, but oh, it didn't. There we go. What was the tail end of my point there? yeah, so Lord Altrincham or whatever it is. So I go look it up on YouTube, and British Pathé, this channel that has all kinds of old historical video footage, has got the clip of the TV interview, right, with this Lord Altrincham fella. So I watched that, and it's very similar to the show. And then I watched the Queen's Christmas speech from 1957, the first one that was televised. And then I watched the rest of that episode, and you see her give the televised speech. And it's like the televised speech is pretty much word for word. It's just an interesting time to be living in, because as I think I literally mentioned this last stream, like previous generations, they couldn't, like, you know, snap their fingers and find stuff out. You had access to different information at various bandwidths, like going to a library and fishing through books for answers to questions, but these days you can just type in whatever you're curious about onto your phone and here's an answer for you, you know? It's incredible. Keen BTF says, I've used my Prime sub on Xisuma twice, but he didn't call it out like normal, so I thought maybe it's not working and he can't see it. So I've subbed for 3 months at a time today, and he started calling out subs. Thought he could see it, but now he didn't call mine out. Is something going on with my account? How can I tell? Keen, I have no notification on my screen from today. I have on occasion noticed a noise in my ear and seen it on the little preview of my stream, and then it not come up in Streamlabs, so it is possible that there are some form of errors for people. And I'm, you know, thank you for subbing. I'm not gonna, I can see you got a sub next to your name. I'm not gonna question it. Like, thank you for doing that. It's appreciated. If it goes wrong in some way or another, yeah, I'm not sure what I can do about that, right? Like, but thank you nonetheless. Reverend Lobster is here, using the Prime, and the notification is coming through for 2 months saying, really enjoying the daily modded streams. Glad you are, my dude. That's great to hear. Thank you so much for the support. So up here, I don't actually know what I'm going to do with this space yet, so I think what we'll do is carve it out, and then just, like, let it be. I was thinking about adding some mob farms here, since we have the squid farm just around the corner, but I think we'll wait for another day before rushing into doing something here. Now, I want this to be nice and equal, like it is on the others. If we head up here, we'll see measuring tape might be useful, but it's... Actually, I don't think they're equal. We'll double check. So this is like the glowstone turns in. We'll be placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 glowstone. Ow. And there it is. Oh, no, it's not. Keen BTF has gifted a sub to Brilliamines 101. So I can see that. Thank you for gifting the sub and supporting our community, dude. And Brilliamines 101, be sure to say thanks in chat. Yeah, maybe next time if you sub, say it in chat first, and we'll see if like there's an error or not. It's 9 over here as well, by the way. So I think I'm just gonna throw down that similar layout in this space for the next bit. Let's get some glowstone. Let's get our... Did I? Yeah, okay. It took a second. Don't think we need that again. Yeah, everything's been a little bit laggy all of a sudden. Chuck that and that in here. Probably, yeah, I might use that in a second. Got a bunch of cobble in here as well. And then where's the old destruction gadget? I'm going to... Yeah, maybe go... That should probably be enough. So it was 9 blocks of this. Perfect. Well, almost, because I've got to do a little bit more building, I guess. Then we bring in the Zag. Do a bit of this over here, right? We'll do it like that. And I think we're about to run out of this stuff. So we need a little bit more. Xisumavoid's chat scares me, says Farglad. What happened in chat? What's scary about it? At the chord X255Z is bedrock, says Mutiny Center, and not on this one. It's lava for us. Let's grab the salt. Give it a good old chisel. And it is the Zag again that we are so fond of. And there you go. Right, then... Do I have my night vision on? I don't, actually. We got enough for this? Probably not, is my guess. Nope. Do we have more Tyrian? Probably not. There's actually a lot of textures here that I don't need in the inventory right now. And those, right, very nearly done. And I think after this, we'll try and hit the refresh button a little bit. Now there's another one I thought we would have had a thing for. A texture? Is that what I want to say? No, not a texture. A recipe. God, there you go. Right, that's that bit done. And now for the last bit, it is to put these in. Uh-huh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then a little randomization for the last ones. Sweet, there you go. Finally, right. Wow. That means all but our latest projects are basically tidied up. So, from here on out, all our aesthetic stuff is done. When it comes to projects that need doing, you see all this over here is running. It's really a case of not having the blaze, right? So I kind of need to do that next, regardless. And that should solve that problem. And then we got a few other small projects. I think I'd like to just do some small projects to wrap this one up. But we should probably investigate the power cell, though. Blackjack, are you still there? Are you still with us? Curls of Doom, thank you for getting the sub to Leonide. Very kind of you to do that. And Leonide, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to say thanks in chat. Blackjack is here. Cool. Alright, so we'll set up the blaze, then we'll go investigate the power cell, and hopefully have time to do one or two other little things. Like, oh, we've done that project, haven't we? I really want to get as many of these tied up. Like, we've got to do the creosote oil bucket soon as well. But yeah, I wanted to get these things tidied up because I'm going to do a showcase of the world, so it felt important to kind of just get those bits done. Right, so we need to craft... Ah. That is not done quite the way I thought it was. Oh. Oh, right. There's a whole other thing here. Interesting. Let's see if we've got any chunks in here. We have 0 chunks, right. This is going to be more complicated than I thought. All of that stuff, though, is not the complicated bit. All of this, don't worry about it. It's that right there. Ah, you can... Wait. I know you get it from killing stuff, but we haven't got any, which is weird. So let's click on the tier 1 mob chunk. So that's... I feel like I'm missing something here, because all I'm seeing is a loop, unless you have to kill a zombie. Maybe you have to kill it with something. You mad? Not mad, just confused. What's this? Ah, right. You asked yesterday, can X pause so you can go to the loo? And everyone said, no, he won't. Well, here's the thing. You asked a sort of question that was obviously... like, just... I don't know, like... do you really expect a streamer to just stop for a random person in their chat? If you were the only person watching, then yeah, they probably want to keep you around. But, like, it's just a bit of a weird thing to ask, you know? Like, imagine stopping a football game and going, hang on, everyone stop, need to go to the toilet. It's like, that's not how it works. You need to kill mobs with the Solium Dagger. Right. Thanks for the info. Can I automate that? See, I've actually done this stuff before. As soon as you say that, I'm like, I think I remember that now. Solium Dagger. Hey. Dang it. So we can make that super easy, I think. Although you do need a mystical stick, right? One of those. One of these. Or not, you need those. I thought they might have been a thing we had sussed out by now. Solium dust from soul dust. Going down a bit of a rabbit. Soulstone. Yeah, I remember all this. Right, okay. Let's add some crafting recipes over here. I thought this would be a quick thing, so I'm gonna watch the time on this because I want to do the power cell thing as well. So we may not get too deep into this today. So we've got this whole rabbit hole. Oh, that one will go into a compacting drawer. I might go and automate this somewhere. So soul dust from soulstone. So that's the first crafting recipe. Stone and soul sand. So that can then go get done. Because it's in one of these, essentially. Oh, I've left one of those new compactors on. Let's go turn that off. It'll be this one here, right? So we're making soulstone, which then needs to go into either a furnace, a redstone furnace, a alloy smelter, a sag mill. Probably only gives you extra because of that. So, you know, a furnace basically. And we have a resourceful furnace here, and I'm not sure. Okay, that's kind of set up for one material. I could set it up for two. Does it have a crafting? Yeah, it kind of makes sense to put it here. So let's take away half of that. And we're going to make a pattern for that if it works in that machine. In fact, I think it doesn't even matter what machine you put it in, right? Yeah, we haven't even got past this step yet, so it's like... Yeah, I don't see the resourceful furnace, but it's in there, so I'm going to use that. Dang it! All this clicking to get around. Right, yeah, that's the one we want. Then I want some soulstone. $400 to begin with will be fine. And it probably made all of those already. There you go. Right, so then down here, we want this thing to have the crafting card, I'm pretty sure. So it'll actually make those. There you go, it's made them. Then over here, it'll know that it can turn it into that stuff, right? So, on the next part of this, we've got to click uses, soul dust, uses. Right, add that over on the side. That's another smelting. No, that's a crafting. Sorry, what I'm on about. So now we go add a crafting recipe. Switch it over. Put that step in. Add the crafting. Cool. Click on that. Uses of solium dust is a bit of a rabbit hole. That turns it into the ingot. So that needs to be smelted somewhere. And we could put it in any old type of furnace. This one's configured for the auto crafting. I think I might put it in here as well, actually. Did that the wrong way around. Let's just have two of each. Because we're going to put in... That's probably lucked out. Yeah, there we go. Going to put in another one. Right, so... If I'm not mistaken, the uses of that is smelting. Uh-huh. Oh, right, and I didn't set up processing. There it is. Cool. Right, crafting recipe up here. ingot goes down there. And then I want some of that stuff that comes before it, which I just put into here. It's from this mod. It is that one there, isn't it? Solium dust, yes. Let's just... oh yeah, whatever. Just make tons of it, basically. We'll also see this thing fire. So in order to make lots of this stuff, we're using this twice, which could be a problem. It might be a better idea to put that in a different furnace. I am considering. Maybe I could just make another one next door. Resourceful furnace, right? It is already one of these. Then we would just need an interface and a cable, right? Done a lot of this now, so it gets a little easier with time. By the way, we've got over 500 peeps tuning in on a... It's Monday, right? On a Monday morning. Christmas is getting closer, peeps. If you're enjoying the stream, be sure to hit that follow button over here on Twitch, and thanks for tuning in. That might have messed that up a little bit, but we'll bear with it for a moment. That's going to go in this one now. We're going to put a crafting card in it as well. Then we're going to put in some upgrades. Okay, next one, upgrade. We want one of those. Apparently I made two. One of those. One of these. And one of those. Cool. Right, and then we've got to configure this thing. Wherever it is. I wonder... Aha, it's got no conduits on the back. It's got a item stack transfer add-on. Which we have the ability to craft right here. And I will do. Now, what way was that one facing? It was push down. Right, and before I do too much here, I need to configure it the same way. So, one of these... actually, none of that needs configuring. Redstone's on, so... Well, let's give it a shot. What was the other one it had in there? Speed 2. Right, it gets its power from above, it gets its instructions from below, and now we were just waiting on some of that dust to come through. It's the darker one, only a little bit coming through so far. Maybe it's only just gotten through the process of making some of that. This thing doesn't look very fast, does it? It's also got fluid essence in it. That's probably from a previous job. So anyway, we have to tell this thing, we eventually want it to be like full stacks, right? Looks like it's starting to fill up a bit. So yeah, we want it to do that job and turn it into the next thing. I didn't put in the crafting card. And I need to hide the interface. Dang, this is going to be a slow one. Although we don't need a lot of it, right? But I plan on doing something else with it as well. And it will require, well, us actually getting an ingot out of this thing as well. So I will also now request that we just craft 2 of those. And we can see it in action by looking in here. It's already done. Right, now we're going to take those ingots that we just made and move them elsewhere. We just made those. What's going on? Maybe 10. Looks like its recipe goes back to this machine again. Maybe this wasn't a great setup for it. Like, this doesn't feel particularly fast. Now, why would we not see the psyllium? Have I missed a step, peeps? Let's look at chat. Chat's always full of answers. I'm smelting it, but I'm not getting it back. And I don't know why. Is my inventory glitched out? Oh man, he didn't notice this thing. I said Xisuma's jokes are incredibly different and amazingly great to me in a completely and unnatural way of humoristic manner to bring me to a laugh and bring me to the joyful manner of Hayden. Oh, my other one was Xisuma's jokes are incredibly greatly, amazingly nice to me in an enthusiastic way of humorous manner by bringing to a ha 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 voice in the voice of my figurehead. So maybe he'll notice this as my name is Hayden Debs. Thank you for the very nice messages. I've never heard such high praise for my silly sense of humour. Oh! That is a strange place for them to end up. That is completely confusing to me. Anyway, maybe now that it's like that, that won't happen again. I want to come back here and fill that up at some point. Is what I want to do. Something feels very odd about this, like it is really, really slow. I don't quite know why. Anyway. Now that I have these, we're going to whiz off somewhere else. Around here. I'm going to bust a hole. So this is all set up, if I go to the right spot, to handle more ingots because it's got crafting upgrades. So if I put one there, it's not going to find anywhere to put it. But if I give it a home, then it can get going. It just needs a compacting drawer, right? So let's grab a drawer of the compacting. Let's get that going. Shimmy that on down here. Gonna need to lock it as well. Where's my old key at? There it is. Not yet. Put the thing in first. Right, that is a good old trick for this. And I'm going to rip one of these out, shove it in over here for now. So slow! Ah! Okay. So now there's 8 ingots in there, and slowly, in theory, that should tick up with time. If that actually happens or not, we'll have to wait and see. I think what we'll do now, we'll leave it at that, let those items tick up over time. We're going to go up top and look at the power situation. This place is amazing. Right. But we're talking about the bit over here with the power cell, right? So, I believe the power cell is in here. As you can see, all the way up to the advanced. So let's craft an advanced power cell. Okay. I think what we've got to do is grab that. Advanced power cell. So yeah, it looks like it's got some... Had some info there for a second. This thing's probably out of power now, isn't it? Yeah, that's why it turned off. Let's give it another one. So we're going to have some more juice. Right. So, if I go... How are we going to do this? I'm going to borrow one of these again. The brine one. The brine hasn't been doing much because of all... The world's a little bit laggy at the moment, isn't it? Wouldn't you say? That's actually an extract, isn't it? What am I thinking? So... I got a weird feeling I might have made that mistake already. Or, maybe I can just put it directly next to that for now. Right, and I think you have to leave it in the same spot in the world. It's also not infused, is it? You want to use the machine information module, not the power module. Oh, okay. Machine information module requires furnace of all things. So we do that. Head over here. RF per tick. Ooh. Oh, total RF output, current RF input, current RF output. That sounds promising so far. Let's change up the colours here. Right. So this thing isn't infused, and I will take a wild stab in the dark and assume there is a block called the machine infuser, because I vaguely remember that being a thing all those years ago. With this machine, you can improve most other machines. Yeah, so what do we infuse it with? I'm not sure. Maybe just general power, right? No. What do we infuse it with? Chat's going to help me. You want 2 power cells kind of acting like a flux plug and point, and you need a power cell card to configure it. Oh, right. Oh, they work like that, do they? Okay. We'll make a second one then. I think I just saw the thing you infuse it with. We want the card. I think we want 2 cards, don't we? Isn't that a recipe? It's not a recipe. It really should be. And I really need to put like a screen next to where I work. I tell you what, if this world is laggy, like it's been open for quite a few hours. I left it on overnight because we got all those new blocks to put into the system. Yeah, so if I do that, then it'll be nice and easily craftable. That's one thing about, you know, setting up the automation, is that at a certain point you then really do just depend on it and have to do everything that way. Again, so I've got to go in here and grab those. I'm not sure if you need 2 or 1, but I'll make 2. Dimensional shards, it takes 4 stacks to fully infuse it. Thank you, Blackjack. Yeah, that sounds about right. Dimensional shards. Which we, I believe, have tons of. Yep. So, chuck that in there. It's not massively quick. Let's get a hibbity-hoobity hopper. Don't see those about too much, do you? And how much power we got? It's not using a lot, is it? That might juice it up a little quicker, I don't know. Oh, it's slowly being infused. I wonder if I can add a recipe in AE for an infused block and then, like, it sends it to this machine. I reckon it's possible. I think you can infuse a machine infuser, says Nuclear Slayer. That would be hilarious. Becca says, I refuse to believe Evil X is gone. Well, wait until you see the next episode of Hermitcraft. Oh, spoiler alert! Evil X is in it again. Looks like it's now faster than the speed of a hopper. So I would be smart to just chuck that in there. Exclusive preview, you mean? I don't know. You know, I think I might have spoiled it. I think you'll be watching the video and going, oh, I already knew Evil X was going to be in here. I'm not watching any more of it. It's spoiled. Nah, it's an exclusive preview. Because you'll now want to watch that video. You're going to be like, oh, Evil X. Evil X, my sweetheart. What terrors are you up to now? Righty, righty. If this thing works like a... If this thing works like one of these, then maybe what we have to do is like embed it inside the capacitor bank so it draws on all sides. And then it goes to the other point. However, this is likely going to be an intermediary, plus we've already built a lot of infrastructure around these. I'm actually a little bit worried now that this is going to limit the bandwidth of these things, but we're gonna you know, feel our way through this, figure out what's possible, and see what happens, right? Like, the fact that you have to use the power on all sides is, I think, gonna limit how we can use it. I tell you what though, if there's any mod makers out there, please make a mod that just lets you display power running through your base in a really cool and interesting way, you know? graph charts, numbers, because all the stuff in these mods, you just end up with these zeros and like blinking numbers a lot of the time. I mean, this mod could do it maybe, like Flux Networks, if it had like a display and you just picked a network, you would get some pretty interesting numbers that way. I'm now wondering if that mod has it. Gonna go find out. It's already in the pack now. No, not like that. Flux. I mean, there's the configurator, the core, the plugs, then we got controller, storage, light blocks, light block flat, invisible block, light block again, then a bunch of solar. Oh, that's a different mod now, yeah. The graphs look marginally interesting in the Flux network. They do, but you have to open them to see them. They'd be great if they could just be left in the world, right? I think if you make the capacitor bank at least 2 tall, it will show both the in and out, rather than the net amount. That can be quite easily tested over here. Oh, yeah. How do we miss that one before, peeps? Here's the thing though, right? So let's take a system that's currently running, like Ender.io is making ingots. So if we put its power here, so we get the same number twice, basically. And does it ever zero out? This does now have the maximum throughput of 20,000, but that's not a problem here. Maybe we just go with that, right? Like, we'll see how this other one works, but that's actually, out of all the things I've seen so far, and I've got a feeling this isn't going to be quite what we're after. Anyway, so we've got to experiment here. We've got to link these together, I think, with that card. I can't remember if you need 2 cards or 1, because you put it in there and then do you have to link? We can accept energy or out. Let's do out there. Oh, that's link ID 1. Now it says unlinked. Link ID 0. I think it needs power to get going. Let's set all to in. Right, link ID 2. Unlinked. Wait, is it supposed to shimmy across? Link ID 3. Then I put it there. What if I put it here? Still says link ID 3. Unlinked. I'm looking in chat. You need 2 cards, put one in the top left and the second next to it to link. Ah! Well, it still says on all there. Now they're both link ID 5. Okay, now it's unlinked. Link ID 5. Right, now it's still link ID 5. No, I don't think that works. Ah, now it did. And it just got power from this one. So now we're wirelessly moving power between them. For now, quickly, before we run out. 0. So now I guess what I need to do is grab something like that. Put it on this one. So the Ender.io machine should be... This is out on all sides, and that's in on all sides. So that is not delivering any information. There you go. Right. I was like, seem to remember that being different. That's because I put the wrong thing in. Right, 0 RF per tick. Hey, there you go. That's definitely like nicer just to have the one number. And then RF total is 0. And then that looks like an actual other number of total. So yeah, we're gonna end up with like, you know, literally just a small number on a screen, or that. This one is better, unfortunately. There's also a lot of hassle to set this up and limitation. The capacitor banks could potentially be better. I think the problem might be the bandwidth, so we'd have to set up our main capacitor bank in a way where we can have a large throughput to individual capacitor banks that we could then use their own little you know, different means of displaying information, like that one. I seem to recall there being like yet another display you could put on it. Oh, you can shift click it as well. Huh. I think we're gonna go that way. What do you think, peeps? Blackjack, I appreciate your efforts. This is great that it can be done this way, but I think considering the effort, the hassle, and this screen displays the information, it's not the prettiest thing. I reckon actually maybe that's the way to go. It doesn't display the numbers perfectly because they kind of like match each other a little bit, right? But if we can have a row of like flux plugs sitting on top of a capacitor bank, literally like that, you know, one after the other, it will look really, really cool. And I think that's the way we're going to go. So thank you so much for the help. But we're going to go in a different direction. And that's the end of the stream. Guess when I'll be streaming again? Tomorrow. Oh, how did you know? Peeps, there's almost 600 of you here. Be sure to hit that follow button. And if you want to stick around and be a part of the raid, you can do so. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated and cheered. Thank you for the gifted subs. And thank you to all of my Patreons. We will be streaming again tomorrow. We're going to send it over to Iskal today, who is playing modded Minecraft as well. So if you want more modded action, Iskal's got you covered. Otherwise, that's it from me. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.